Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Montgomery Frazier, image guru, director of Honestly Now, consultant in imaging, and you certainly look the part.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
So let's start at the beginning. I'm not sure I know what an image guru, I know what a guru is, I know what image is, but I'm not sure I know what an image guru does.
Well, image is basically, projecting something to the public. Guru is much more organic. I don't like the terminology consultant. I get very intricately complex with my clients. I could be directing their career. I could be resurfacing their image, launching a product line for fashion designers,
Okay.
a lot of things.
So I just want to spend a little bit of time on this word image. It's what you present to the public. Mm-hmm. Is that the same thing as a brand? Is it like a brand?
Well, it is branding people.
It's a brand? Right,
yeah,
right.
It's launching products, it's branding people.
So is it about dress? Is it about the way you walk? Is it about the way you do your hair?
It's about the total package, really. It's about how you present yourself. It's about the projects you take on. It's about the team you work with. For instance, if you're a celebrity, you have to have a good publicist. You have to have a good stylist, a good hair and makeup person.
And what if you're an average, ordinary American who's just trying to maybe get a step up in your career?
Well, then they contact Honestly Now, which is the network that I'm doing.
Yeah. So the truth of the matter is, people that look good, and this business of looking good. How does the mass market define what looks good?
Well, everybody's not model material or actor material, so basically what I do is I try to maximize everybody's potential in their presentation, however and whatever they do in their life. So let's say if I was doing a seminar and somebody was a secretary and they said, well, how do I look? I would actually give them my honest opinion about how they look and how they present themselves and their diction, their carriage. It's a total package. I mean, it's not just about the hair and the physicality.
Is it true, Montgomery, that when someone goes for a job interview, very often the hiring agent, the human resource manager, whoever it is, makes up his mind about them as the person is walking in the door, and that much of the interview just confirms
Split second
so that's
decision.
That's really just based on the physicality of.
Well, but then you can change that. For instance, if you're not the perfect specimen physically, but you say the right things mentally.
Or the way you hold yourself.
You have confidence. Right. You exude a certain clarity in your speech. You don't ooh, all that. You have to. That's how a human resource person would determine whether somebody's right for the job, whether they can conduct themselves, whether they can convey an idea, whether they exude any kind of confidence.
I was going to say, and they instill confidence in the employer as to whether they're going to be a good hire.
Yes, and some people are hired not because they look good, but because they have animation, because they project, because they have a certain sense of value to themselves, and if they can translate that, they're a good employee.
And in this kind of a market that we're in today, I suppose image is more important than ever.
It is. Well, we're scrutinized by everything, aren't we?
There's plenty of people who have skills. I mean, I don't think anymore a lot depends on just skills.
It's not just about the skills, because there's a lot of proficient singers and actors, but
accountants and financial people, anybody. Right.
But
salesmen.
It's do they get along well with their peers? Do they represent the company well? Image for the company is also very key. For instance, like a fashion designer will only hire certain people to work in his boutique if they look the part.
Right, and that's important. I mean, it's the same thing. If I'm going to a hair salon,
they could be dumb as dog.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want someone to do my hair that doesn't look like he or she's doing a good job when they're on his or her own hair.
Exactly.
I don't want to buy something from someone who's a stylist that doesn't look well groomed, him or herself or herself.
I agree, and that's important.
But that's been kind of an old-fashioned idea, but it's taken on much more of a mass marketing point of view these days.
It has. It has it has become so paramount in everybody's lives that,
Right.
I mean, even Mr. and Mrs. America, they want to look like the idyllic image of America, you know?
But that idyllic image has been projected by some folks who said that's the way you should look.
Right, but then we have people like Oprah who broke the stereotype.
Right.
We have people like, you know, Arianna Huffington who, you know, you can be a strong, smart woman and get ahead in life.
Right, and you can be a powerful woman without being, you know, a 25-year-old blonde wearing size 0.
Exactly, exactly. And what I'm trying to do with people is I'm trying to bring out their assets. I maximize their assets.
So tell me something, and I want to go on to Honestly Now, but when you say you maximize their outfits, do people...
Assets.
Assets. Do people come to you and you give them a recipe to follow? How do you do it?
Well, first of all, I mean, I joined this network, and I'll Honestly Now, because most people can't afford me.
Right, I was going to ask you how much you charge.
I mean,
you look a little pricey to me. I'll be honest with you, Montgomery.
Well, I'm a hybrid professional, and
you look a little pricey to me.
But what I like to do is to be able to impart my experience from my background in the entertainment business and image development into, you know, the everyday person. That's what Honestly Now was all about. That's why I joined it.
Let's segue Honestly Now. Honestly Now is a website that's a congregation, a community of folks that have expertise in a variety of areas.
And yes, we have experts, and then we also have the people's friends. So you can either ask your friends for their truthful advice.
What are some of the questions that people go on and ask you? Give me an example.
Do I look fat in this dress?
Really?
Do you think I need to get Botox? When you're doing a party, where do you put the forks? I mean, everything from etiquette.
Very basic.
Lifestyle questions, like aesthetic lifestyle questions. We have experts in the entertainment business, in beauty and fashion. We have protocol experts. You know, it's really interesting. Or you can just get a consensus from your friends and say, do you really think this hat looks good on me? Or is this suit outdated?
Are your friends going to be honest with you?
Well, my friends won't. I wouldn't ask my friends. I only ask people I respect.
I see. Because, you know, there's a lot of jealousy when you ask people about, do I look good in this skirt? Do I need Botox? I mean, there's a level of jealousy.
Well, there's also a bit of vulnerability too.
Yeah,
it's hard to ask for advice.
Yeah.
So this is anonymous too. This, by the way, and it's become quite addictive. It's like people get on it and they just keep asking away. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, this, as you say, you use the word addictive. I wonder sometimes about this addiction to all of this. Tell me something. Why is it people don't have confidence in what they do for themselves?
Well, look at our society. We live in a beauty-perfect society. We have to be svelte. We have to be bone structure. We have to be absolutely flawless.
You can't have any wrinkles.
You can't be overweight. You can't be stupid. You can't be black. You can't be anything other than the stereotypical blonde, blue-eyed person.
Well, I think we moved a little bit of diversity.
But that's what American advertisers push. And now we all of a sudden come around with niche marketing, which has become hugely important.
Okay, so give us, what's niche marketing?
Niche marketing are, for instance, well, we're going to cater to the women's. That's what Oprah did. She was very smart about that. We're going to cater to the urban communities. We're going to cater to the youth. For instance, now MTV has every type of network. You don't even watch music on MTV anymore. It's like everything is niche marketing. We're going to segment to this part of the population, or we're going to direct to that only. It's fragmented so much now that niche marketing is the way to go.
You know, a lot of people have gotten themselves.
So everybody's confused.
I was going to say, there is a lot of confusion. A lot of people have gotten themselves heavily in debt by trying to follow this trend and that trend and the other. How do you define that which is a trend that's likely to go away and that which is a classic that will stay with you and keep you going?
Well, the problem with most trends is that most people aren't trendy. You can't really what a trend is basically something that's in and out.
Yes.
And that doesn't really apply to most people. Most people need something that's going to work with them in longevity.
And has some structure to it. We'll keep
Yes.
well, has legs to it. We'll give them something to go by. And so this, honestly now, how old is this honestly now?
Actually, it's probably now almost 2 months.
Right, so it's new. It's new. I went online myself to see it, and frankly, I was surprised by some of the questions. They seem so basic.
There are basic ones, and then there are actually interesting ones.
But that's an interesting one. So people just sign on. They don't have to subscribe.
Well, you have to actually be invited first.
You have to first be invited.
Yes. So one of your friends has to invite you. Right. And then the whole idea is to put a profile together. And then basically you just, it's supposed to be an easy remedy for indecision.
In fashion?
In fashion.
In decorating?
In decorating, in
Right.
anything to do with our lifestyles.
So should I go out with him if
We have relationship experts.
Right.
We have sex therapists. We have everything. The Fab 50. I'm part of.
What is Fab 50? That's the experts.
Those are the Fab 50, which are the true experts and who get paid tons of money to impart their wisdom on celebrities.
So are you doing this pro bono?
I'm doing it because I like to actually help people, believe it or not.
Right.
I'm tired of selfish celebrities who just want. I actually want to be able to help somebody, in their times of indecision, quickly, without having to pay for anything. What a concept.
Well, yeah, I suppose so, especially if it's something that's going to help that person's lifestyle.
And that was the key, because when I was actually invited by a writer from People magazine. She told me about this, and she said, you really could be very important for this. And I said, well, what do I get out of it? And I said, and then I realized what I'm getting out of it, exactly what I wanted to get out of it, was to help people.
Right.
Because most people can't go to a stylist for it.
And coming back to the thing with this show, which is getting your money's worth, folks who get invited and join have an opportunity to get some of their indecisive questions about fashion, about decorating, about some lifestyle issues like, when do I use my fish knife, or where do I put my butter knife if I'm not using bread and butter, or whatever, those kind of things. They have a chance to get some answers to that from experts at no charge.
At no charge, or from their friends. And there's generally going to be somebody, a community on.
You don't know yet, but it's always. But people can gain confidence from this and kind of move off and become less indecisive.
So you know what? So the thing is, it is actually a tool to help anybody. It's really that simple. It's supposed to be direct, easy peasy. You come on, you ask a question, you get an answer, and you get it honestly. It's anonymous, or you can actually direct it to someone.
So, in summary, not to say that we want to follow every trend and some of this, but any person that's walking could benefit from taking what they already have, their assets, and using them in a way to present themselves better to the public.
Yes.
And that's kind of
exactly.
That's the goal of your.
That's pretty much it. I mean, you just said it right there.
Okay, good. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I'm Judith West, getting your money's worth. And hey, you want to know whether it should be short or long? Should the pants have a pleat, not have a pleat? How about cuffs, not cuffs? Honestly now, and particularly go to the website that's sponsored by Montgomery Frazier. Ask him. Thanks for watching. Hello and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth. I'm the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Michael Bastian. Yes, Vice President of LaGuardia Community College in New York City. Thanks for being on the show.
Wonderful.
Right. So before we go on a little bit, our show, our program goes out across planet Earth. LaGuardia Community College is some kind of a place. I mean, you have between a different, something like 50,000 students,
yes.
Right? From how many different countries? 160 countries?
160 countries.
Speaking 100 different languages? Oh my gosh, how do you do it? And you're in charge of all 50,000. How do you do it?
Well, it's really, it's with care and skill and dealing with all these wonderful students that come from
a lot of
around
love,
the world.
I think.
Oh, yes.
A lot of love. Okay, so you're a two-year community college,
Yes.
right? And how many of you must come and you also have under your umbrella of responsibilities financial aid.
Yes, yes.
How many of your students get some kind of financial aid?
Well, more than 50% of our students participate in our financial aid program. On average, the family incomes are about $24,000 for a family of 4. And so what you find is
So
that...
the average family income is about under $25,000, and they're sending their kid to college?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And so we have a lot of students with really a lot of need, and we're trying to meet those needs while they're at the college.
Yeah. Well, the president of your college wrote an article in response to all this media press about the burden of student debt. It's a pretty big burden, isn't it, Michael?
Oh, it sure is. The reality is so many students who are going to college are borrowing up to $100,000, and they might leave the college with that debt and thinking about their job prospects.
Especially now.
Absolutely. And it's so difficult to be able to go into the helping professions when you can't afford it because of the student loans that you have.
Right. So you can't go into things that where our needs are so great, like teaching.
Absolutely.
Or librarians.
Absolutely.
Or some of the healthcare fields.
Absolutely. They
Or,
just can't
or
afford
some of
it.
these services like police. I mean, but the thing about student debt is, I don't know that it's well understood by kids who take it out or parents. The student debt never goes away.
Right.
If you declare a bankruptcy, it lives. And folks can have their wages, their tax returns, everything garnished, right?
Absolutely. And the reality is their ability to get a home, their ability to purchase a car, their ability to really enjoy all of the benefits of their hard work, they wouldn't have access to it because of that.
Can we go to a basic question, Michael?
Sure.
Why does college cost so much?
Well,
It doesn't seem, I mean, how much, what's the tuition at your college?
our college is $2,800 a year because we're a community college.
Yeah.
So community colleges and many public institutions are really an affordable alternative
Exactly.
to what's happening.
And talking about getting your money's worth, a kid can get his money's worth at your school. Schools like you.
Absolutely.
But in general, the college, high school counselors and parents, to push their kids in other directions. Why do these schools cost so much?
Well, they would tell you that in order to keep the facilities, they would tell you to compensate the professors and all of those sorts of things. And we have those same concerns. But what you'll find with the community college is that oftentimes the kind of programs that produce students with jobs at the conclusion of the program is really how students can get their money worth.
Yeah.
And many of our other institutions may not be able to provide the kind of remedial support and other supports that will help students.
Right.
The developmental support.
So many of the four-year schools, I mean, they talk about their facilities. I don't know if everybody needs those kind of facilities. I mean, these big, beautiful buildings. So what?
What we're finding is that there
These
are a lot of
professors that are tenured that have assistants teaching for them. So what?
But what we're finding in our school is that our enrollment is actually on the increase of many of the public institutions because they recognize the value of community colleges and the fact that it is a very good deal for the money, because the reality is you can come, you can get a great 2-year degree, you can satisfy many of your primary credits, and that will enable you to continue on to your bachelor
you
program.
can go to a 2-year college. You can take all your basic skills or basic requirements for any 4-year school.
Absolutely.
And you can then transfer if you get good grades. Sometimes you can get into I'm not saying it's pretty into a better name school because you've done very well in a community college than you might just from an entry as a
Absolutely.
senior from high school.
The community college student is better prepared oftentimes to go into the 4-year institution because they've had that training, that preparation, that support, and they have the confidence to continue in the 4-year program.
A lot of your students work, don't they?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
And they work and they still maintain.
Well, it's a balancing act. And the reason why we have programs that are flexible is because we recognize that some have to work, they have families, they have multiple responsibilities. And so they can take classes in the evening, they can take classes on the weekend. We try to make a flexible schedule at LaGuardia, for example, so that they can take some credits within an enhanced 18-week semester, so that they can take a smaller amount of credits in one semester and continue in the next part of the semester.
Right.
And because we really want students to graduate.
I was going to say, do most of your students graduate? Do you have a good rate of graduation at your school,
We have
Michael?
one of the higher graduation rates of community college students nationally, but we still want to do more.
Right.
We still have too many students that leave the educational pipeline too early because of that family situation, because of that job situation, because of the realities of the economy. And one of the realities of this economy is we've gotten a different generation of students to come to the campus now because some have been downsized. So we're seeing more adult learners coming into the college, as well as the high school students as well. So it's a mixture of students that we're finding coming into the college.
Tell me something. There is I'm not going to say it's a myth, but there is a belief in this country, and research has proved it, that folks that go to college have earned more money in their careers. Maybe they're smarter parents. They get a better lifestyle for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which means that everyone ought to have an opportunity to do that. After all, that's the American dream, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yet, so many folks can't. The way the college is set down, it even makes more this disconnect between the haves and the have-nots. You're a gap in that.
Well, the community college is the equalizer.
Is the equalizer.
Because
That
we
was my
have the
point.
door open, and we are bringing in students that otherwise would not have a chance to attend college and to get the opportunities that a college experience affords. And the other thing that's very important is that we connect them with the jobs of the future. Because it's not enough for them to have a wonderful experience and then not be able to be employable at the end of that experience. People need to be able.
Can folks graduate
to find
from
a
your
job.
college, a community college, and go out and have a marketable skill?
Absolutely.
Give me a for instance.
And we have, for example, our nursing program is one of our most successful programs. And it's a program where they come in and get the actual skills necessary to move ahead in their career. Our paralegal studies programs and criminal justice programs. These are programs specifically designed to give those students the skills needed to actually go into the world of work.
And then if they want to go on and become some other kind of a registered nurse or operating special nurse, they have some background, they can work and they can go back to school or use credits to move themselves up the career ladder.
Absolutely. We are that stepping stone, that solid foundation that gets them from where they are to where they want to be.
That makes you pretty important in the community.
Well, it certainly makes us proud.
I can believe that. So you get kids from all boroughs of New York City?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while the majority come from Queens at our institution, because we're located in Queens, we have students from the 5 boroughs and New Jersey.
And New Jersey, okay. Well, so pretty soon you may expand even beyond that. So what kind of qualifications do kids have to get to come into your school?
We prepare the students at their level of preparation. So when they come to our campus, we do testing and evaluation to determine exactly what their skill level is. And there may be some that are in need of developmental education programs. We have those programs in place for them so that we really try to make sure that every support possible for them to be successful is in place.
So getting back to our a beginning theme of that, the burdens of student debt, you see yourself as a alternative.
Absolutely.
Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
You see yourself as an alternative.
In fact, I see the community college in particular as the college of choice for many people who want to make a good start, and to be able to do it in an affordable fashion. One of the great things about community colleges that there are so many located where the people live.
Right.
And so they don't have to go far and wide. Many community colleges are right in the community where people live.
Yeah, which is also a beauty, especially now with the cost of commuting, $5 a gallon gas, and on top of everything else. Yeah, it makes you wonder why more folks don't do it. The monkey on your back of graduating with $100,000 in debt.
$100,000 of debt.
Right, is awesome.
And it's scary when you think that the opportunities that we want for our children, that they would be homeowners, that they would be able to purchase a car, that they would be able to have something for retirement.
That they'd be able to afford to live.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's a really, really scary prospect when you're coming out the door with $100,000
because
debt.
the student debt does impact your credit scores and your ability to borrow, and it may even show up in terms of a job interview.
Absolutely. That is critically important. And we need to develop the kind of financial literacy distribution chains so that people really know that this is not a free ride. We have a lot of college students that sign up for these loans, and many of our
and they don't know what they're signing up for.
They have no idea of what the ultimate burden is going to be at the back end. And if you haven't had much experience navigating an educational system,
and you don't have parents who can help you, advise you.
Once you sign on that dotted line, for some, they could be signing away their future.
Really? Yeah. You know, I just want to touch on briefly, because I think there's some misconception about our community. What is a for-profit college?
Well, for-profit colleges primarily are career-oriented in nature. And what you'll find
And certainly very different from what a community college does.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to
I think what you'll find with the for-profit colleges, as in any industry, there are those that probably a little bit more reputable than others. But what we have found is that the default rate of student loans for those students who are not able to complete the for-profit colleges is astronomical.
It's very high.
And that will definitely have an impact on those students' ability to move forward in their lives.
It also has an impact on the whole general mood of government funding for colleges. The other downside, of course, is that very often vocations that folks train for and borrow for don't even exist when they get out there.
Absolutely. And you want to be able to have an educational experience where at the conclusion of that experience you can be employable.
Well, of course.
And that the industry is there so that you can actually move
that's what gives you your pride in your student body, isn't it? To see them graduate and go out and become independent.
Absolutely.
I have to ask you, the apple on your lapel.
That is one of the logos of LaGuardia.
How did I know that?
And you'll notice that there are all of the different flags on the apple, because we really are the world's community college.
The world's community college. Well, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And you really are a force in helping folks achieve the American dream. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
I'm Judith West, host of Getting Your Money's Worth and two-year community college. Think about it very hard. It's a very good alternative to a lot of debt on your back. Thanks for being on the show, and thanks for watching.